We want you to know that you are not alone, that we, the people of Lane County, will stand alongside you when anti-Semitism shows up. We also know that there is much work to do. We are ready to stand up with our friends, neighbors, brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers, elders, and colleagues. Fear makes us want to step away from this work. Now is the time to step into it. We recognize there is no hierarchy of human value, and there is a role for each of us in addressing anti-Semitism and other forms of prejudice. Last week, not only did 11 people lose their lives at the Tree of Life Synagogue, but 2 other people were shot and killed in a grocery store in Kentucky because of the color of their skin. Tuesday, November 13th, marks 30 years since Melageta Sarah, an Ethiopian student, was brutally murdered in Portland by a group of white supremacists. Today, we reaffirm our commitment to inclusion and respect for anyone who lives in, works in, or visits Lane County. There are many people working to make the world in our country a place where all people can exist without fear. Thank you for allowing me to make that statement on behalf of the board and our employees and the people of Lane County. So getting on with the normal business of the board, the first item today is adjustments to the agenda. I will remind the board that we have a 10 o'clock time certain. There is employee recognition that we need to take care of, which I'm going to do prior to public comment because of the lengthy amount of public comment we have. And so our employees can get back to the good work they're doing. And there's also an exec session we need to get to, hopefully this morning, because there will probably be needed action on a real estate item later in the day. So just keep that in mind, board. We have a very busy morning. So with that, is there any other adjustments to the agenda this morning? Any from staff?
No.
Then we will move on to employee recognition, which was not on the agenda by accident, and I apologize to the employees that were involved. And I'll ask Mr. Mokrzycki if you want to get that going.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'd like to invite Chad Fisick and anyone else who wants to join, Dan Hurley or Jeff Orlandini, come on up here.
Fisick rhymes with seasick, I think.
We have a contingent, I think, here of folks from Waste Management that we're recognizing today, and Chad is the first. Chad Fisick. Chad is special. He's so special. His title is Special Waste Specialist in our Waste Management Division in Public Works. Chad received the 2018 Outstanding Service to the Industry Award from the North American Hazardous Materials Management Association. And he received the award for his passionate and long-standing service to our community, 15 years here at Lane County. As the board knows, the special waste program in Lane County is critical to maintaining the safety of our waste system. It diverts hazardous waste from the landfill by offering hazardous waste disposal programs for households, small businesses, and rural communities. Our special waste program also screens incoming loads to Lane County's transfer sites for hazardous waste and issues permits for special waste such as asbestos, contaminated soils, and difficult materials. And so we're recognizing Chad here today. Of course, we talk often about our 3 core behaviors that we value in our employees: passion to serve, a drive to connect, and a focus on solutions. And we're recognizing Chad here today, particularly for his passion to serve in our organization for 15 years of outstanding service, and for his recognition as the 2018 Outstanding Service to the Industry Award. And so, Chad, thank you for all of your great work, and look forward to that continuing in the future. And I'd offer that if Dan or Jeff, if you have some additional comments you'd like to make.
Chad's been an industry leader in special waste and has participated in NAMA for a number of years, I think treasurer for 10 or more. and in addition to his busy workload that he has already, and has been instrumental in setting up some key programs that we have here at Lane County for taking back hazardous materials, such as our paint take-back program, our electronics program, and our mercury-containing fluorescent lamp program. So thank you for all that work, Chad. You've done a fantastic job.
I don't have much to add except that we currently are looking for a solution to propane tanks and trying to find out a way that we can dispose of them safely after our vendor was unable to do so. And Chad's been working hand in hand with trying to find a solution that not only safely can get rid of the propane and then recycle the metal containers, but also being able to recapture that propane and reuse it, which, you know, as we know, reduction and then reuse are kind of the top two. And so he's been really helpful in determining how we could make that happen and taking that on kind of personally in his area with, you know, getting rid of those materials in a safe and better way than putting them in places like the landfill. So just want to mention that as well. Thanks, Chad.
Well, thank you, Chad, for your service and for helping protect our environment here in Lane County and preventing those hazardous materials getting out in the environment. I really appreciate the work you've done. So, a hand of applause for Chad.
Does Chad have anything to say?
Yeah.
I guess, you know, I feel a little bit taken back in that I work with some great people who common goal is to make a difference in our community. And I just feel fortunate about being a part of that. And the NAMA is a kind of a group of people who are Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Alaska, who basically have the same kind of common goals inside of hazardous waste. But I guess above and beyond, I just feel fortunate to work for Lane County and work with the people I do. It's great to come to work every day.
Thank you, Chad.
Thank you.
This is, it's just always great to start the meetings off by recognizing some of the outstanding employees that we have who do incredible work, and they don't often get recognition for it. And so we appreciate the board allowing us the opportunity to bring individuals like Chad forward who are doing great work. And so we have 3 more individuals that we'd like to recognize today. I want to invite Kelly Bell, Sarah Grimm, and Angie Marzano up here. And Dan and Jeff, you can stand if you'd like, or speak at the podium. Come on up here and have a seat. Kelly Bell is our waste management, our master recycling coordinator in waste management. Sarah Grimm is our waste reduction specialist, and Angie Marzano is a waste reduction specialist as well. So as the board knows, we've provided a report to you that on September 30th, Lane County's Waste Management Division collected 2.79 tons of plastics from 963 vehicles, representing more than 1,120 households across Lane County. This event was created in response to community concern about recent changes in the international recycling market that have left some previously recyclable materials headed for the landfill. And so we heard this from our community, people that really wanted we don't feel good about just throwing plastic. We've been trained to recycle these materials, and because of the change in the market, that was a big concern. I think this is a great example of our employees in our organization listening, where we have these 3 individuals. Many people participated in this effort, but these 3 individuals really just did exemplary work and the lion's share of the lift to make this happen. There were 40 volunteers, 12 waste management staff, and 2 Denton Plastics employees that helped make this effort successful, but it really was Kelly, Sarah, and Angie that did the lion's share of the work. All 3 of these individuals worked to create partnerships with recyclers and community organizations before spending the greater part of 2 months educating the community about the events and the materials that would be accepted there. We filled, through this one-day event, filled a 54-foot trailer to the brim with plastics that would have otherwise ended up in the landfill. Most attendees, I think, I can't imagine anybody wasn't pleased with the event, and we continue to receive feedback from individuals who participate and others throughout the community that they'd like to see more of this effort. So we're here. We brought these 3 outstanding employees forward to be recognized for their focus on solutions, that as the community came forward and said, what do we do with all of these materials, that these 3 individuals helped to lead an effort that would create an opportunity for our community to recycle those materials. And it truly was a partnership with so many volunteers and staff from public and private agencies. So I want to thank the three of you for your great work that you do every single day, and particularly on September 30th in this great event. And I'll offer that, would anyone like to say anything?
No.
Well, let's let Jeff can make a few comments and then we'll turn it over to the board.
Real quick, I think some kind of relatively late breaking news is the big part of this event was it had to be extremely clean plastic because Denton Plastics usually takes pre-consumer content. They don't deal with post-consumer. This was a really big deal, and they knocked it out of the park so much, and the residents in Lane County did by bringing in such clean material and following the rules that we've actually been confirmed to be able to continue to do events like it in the future. So we're currently working in the very early stages of planning an additional Plastics Roundup event and hoping to be able to continue doing these as a stopgap to the current crisis and until a better solution's found. So I think it's important to note that. So great work, guys.
I guess the only thing I would add is that our event collected 5 times more material than any of the Portland events did. And so it's really a testament to our community and how passionate they feel about recycling and doing something else with those materials. So it's really commendable that our community stepped up in the way that they did. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being so focused on solutions. And really, I can't tell you how much I've heard from constituents since, you know, the change in plastics recycling about, you know, what are we going to do? You know, how can we get rid of this stuff? We hate throwing it away. And you guys provided an opportunity for the public really to make good on their promise that they really didn't want to throw stuff away. And obviously, Lane County residents have a real value around recycling. And we get to reduce and reuse a little bit higher. We'll keep our diversion rate up. We're setting the record in the state. Just a reminder that these folks are also responsible for one of the highest waste diversion rates in the entire state. So you guys are doing a great job. Thank you for the work you do.
Thank you.
So with that, and thank you for the public for bearing with us for something that wasn't really announced on the schedule due to a printing mix-up on the agenda. We'll move on to public comment, and this is an opportunity for folks to address the board of commissioners. We'll give each speaker 3 minutes to address us. I will announce people's names and the next person that's in line to try and help keep things moving. So you'll have 3 minutes to speak to the board, and if you'll give your name and generally where you're from, and then I'll start your 3 minutes after that. So the first person I have on the list is Dave Piccioni, followed by John Delking.
Mr. Chair, I didn't expect there to be such a crowd, and I have an important 9:30. David would feel, and then I have a friend here who has the same problem. She works at Legal Aid. If that's permissible to you, we can come up and probably 2 minutes instead of 3.
If,
We all agree. We all agree.
okay, Wayne, go ahead. Yeah, I'll.
Thanks so much.
So if you want to go use the podium, that's fine too. So, whichever one you wanted. Yeah.
You ever done this before, Wayne?
I think I'm supposed to start esteemed commissioners. Is that right?
You're supposed to start with your name.
I'm Wayne Martin, and I live at Taylor and Broadway. On Monday, October 22nd, I was one of 34 people who testified before the city council. It was a couple of weeks ago Monday. There were 21 of us in that 34 that spoke on the newly heard decision of the city council to grant the space just a few blocks from here. And 6 of those were homeless. We all had words of thanks and a few words of recommendation to the mayor and the manager and the council for their promise to begin a stopgap effort to help the homeless in surviving the winter. A few days later, the city of Eugene reversed itself, and there was a lot of shock and dismay among those of us who try to assist and those who are being assisted. We had great moments prior to that of just deep gratitude, and we thought we had seen a breakthrough, and we wanted to be part of that breakthrough, both in empathy and compassion. Now it looks like you have a chance to be that breakthrough. For that, I'm just deeply, deeply grateful. We want to help. Several of us have met in groups of between 15 and 25 people. We actually gave ourselves a name. We're amused by it. Homeless Empathy Action Team, HEAT. And I think we've been fairly productive so far. We've been working with Dr. Rick Kincaid. As you know, you're you're executive director of the medical clinics here under Pat. We just want to offer ourselves and ask you to include us. Perhaps there's a spokesperson or two. I can be one of those, Pat. And we want you to include us in the search for property and in the means by which it would be best for all persons just to proceed and encourage others and find leaders and those very important things. I'll send you an email this afternoon. Thank you so much for what you're going to do.
Thank you, Wayne.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lori Hauber, and I am a relatively new employee at Legal Aid in Lane County. And my focus is on housing. And Wayne and I did not coordinate at all, but much of what Wayne said is what I intended to say up here, of course not as eloquently as Wayne did. But this is an opportunity for the county to step in and make a real impact on our unhoused community, particularly as the rain and the cold is about to begin. And as Wayne said, there are several people who are ready to help and have different skills and talents that they can bring to this effort. And so with the county support and of course resources that need to go along with it, we urge all of you to allow us to work with you to identify safe sites for people to sleep in safety, to not have to be scared to sleep, for people to sleep with their well-being in mind, protected from the cold and the rain to prevent illness. And just by example, what Wayne was talking about with heat, 15 to 20 people are showing up for meetings on Sunday nights trying to figure out what to do because of the concern. And so I just can't urge you enough to please find ways to prioritize this so we don't have hundreds of people in unsafe conditions starting now. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. So we'll get back to Dave, followed by John Thelking.
Hi, I'm Dave Piccioni. I'm just going to give you a quick information to so you understand my relationship to homelessness. I graduated high school in '87. And after the first term of my senior year at the U of O, I went back to New Jersey and from there took a plane over to Madrid and traveled north to Barcelona and south of France, Nice, Italy, north of Italy, Trieste. Anyway, I went through Yugoslavia and Austria. In Austria, I spent a long time, and I was living in a park, and I did have money, so that wasn't a problem. I had money, and but one of the things that I couldn't come up with was the security from the police from telling me that I couldn't sleep on the street. And the same thing happens in a lot of cases in this part of the world. So it's not a lack of things or necessities. It's the legal permission to be able to be outdoors and sleeping. Yeah, I try to look at. I'm 49 years old. When I was homeless, I was around 24 years old. But I try to look at the people that were camped over here at the Butterfly a lot on the outside. And I try to look at it as objectively as I could and see, is this aesthetically pleasing? Is it safe? You know, not trying to look at it like a young person, but a more mature individual. And I can honestly say that it looked okay. It looked aesthetically pleasing. It didn't look like a landfill or anything like that. And as one of the members of Occupy, I think that was a great project that unfortunately was destroyed by city council and county commissioners and a lot of people with influence. I don't know, but I appreciate that you gave me that information this morning. That there's 200 people at 99 the safety station. So they're forming their little community there. They have food and they're safe. They're not being told that they're going to go to jail or receive a summons if they don't get the hell out of there. So that's all I got. I'm not an expert anymore on this, so I'm going to keep helping as I learn more. Thank you.
Thank you, David. John Thelking, followed by Jen Frenzer.
Hello, my name is John Dilking. I run the website couchhosting.org. I'm in Eugene. I'm speaking to you today for multiple reasons. First, I'd like to do my no vote on the move to draft an emergency ordinance that, if passed, would impose an 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. daily curfew on the Butterfly lot across the street from this chamber. Free speech should have no time limit. Furthermore, I would submit that not allowing overnight camps as a form of protest is discrimination based on content. Please don't pass the curfew ordinance. Second, I realize that it may seem expedient to support the formation of emergency shelter for the unhoused. It takes the form of tents set up wherever a good spot on public property can be found. However, that is not my first choice. There are over 1,600 rooms and homes for rent on Airbnb.com alone in Eugene and Springfield. As of winter of last year, 87 of those spots on Airbnb rented for under $35 per night. Recently, I signed up one of my unhoused couchhosting.org clients for a total billing of $639 for 28 days using my ID and my debit card, and now she has first-class shelter for the rest of November. Airbnb has built a front door, which rents rooms to the general public, and also has a back door where spots are available for free. Currently, the International Rescue Committee and the City of San Jose are working with Airbnb's Open Homes and Host Corps programs to screen refugees and disaster victims for admission into the free spots through the back door. Some free spots are made available by hosts who normally charge up to $200 per night, while other hosts join Airbnb exclusively because of their interest in providing free spots. And building a critical mass of interest in using both the front door and the back door opportunities at Airbnb to help the unhoused. To the case managers of the various social enterprises such as shelter care, I would say this. Using the front door is not as easy as merely pointing your client to the Airbnb.com website and saying go for it. The unhoused often have difficulty in using the Airbnb app on their phones. Sometimes the login code fails to be received. Other times the process of uploading a photo of your ID using the phone app is difficult or impossible. Also, the unhoused often don't have a debit card or credit card. For all those reasons, it is highly recommended that the case manager walk the client through the sign-up process using their own laptop or desktop, PC, and possibly also using their own ID and or their own debit card. And finally, you can try using the search term home hosting to pull up more sites than just Airbnb. I'm also pushing the idea of having the host be able to charge a reduced but non-zero rate through the back door of, say, $300 a month. This would provide enough incentive that many more hosts might join the program. Thank you.
Thank you. Jen Frenzer, followed by, looks like Dane, I'm sorry, I can't read the last name, but go ahead, Jen.
Thank you. I'm Jennifer Frenzer Knowlton. Thank you for your resolution and for your reassurances about acting affirmatively against hate. Your actions distinguish yourself from politicians who stoke fears like the people described by this quote in Joseph Heller's novel Catch-22. It was miraculous. It was almost no trick at all. He saw to turn vice into virtue and slander into myth, impotence into abstinence, arrogance into humility, plunder into philanthropy, thievery into honor, blasphemy into wisdom, brutality into patriotism, and sadism into justice. Anybody could do it. It required no brains at all. It merely required no character. Thank you for distinguishing yourself from people like that. I'm also here today to speak against the proposed emergency ordinance. The novel Catch-22 by American author Joseph Heller, who was a World War II bomber pilot, was not just commentary and satire about war, but also about bureaucracy. The main character describes the impossibility of communicating he's really not safe to fly. Catch-22 specifies the concern for one's own safety in the face of dangers that were real and immediate was the process of a rational mind. There are so many great passages, including one about losing freedoms by exercising them or bringing attention to them. I guess I really ought to read that book more carefully. Bureaucracies are a necessity. At this time, given the lack of public-funded shelter and all shelter, we need more people running our bureaucracies who recognize that emergency actions they initiate should address the dangers of not having shelter, not stopping people from talking about the emergency and dramatically and peacefully demonstrating about it. There's an enormous public harm in chilling free speech about this crisis. Please reconsider your proposal and take an emergency measure to provide shelter downtown instead. Thank you.
Thank you. Is it Dane? Dana. Okay, sorry, Dana. Thank you. And followed by Michael Dudley.
Hello, my name is Dana Benora, and I'm here. I am currently staying at Jackson's with Eugene Junction. This is my Dana Benora. I'm 56. I'm staying here at camp that was given to Jackson. It seems by what I am aware of that Eugene was attempting a quick fix to the homeless issues here in Eugene. You made an agreement with Jackson, and now you are reneging and taking back your agreement. Well, when I came here, there were EPD and other agencies here to assist us in moving into that camp. Jackson is one man, and he's done that miraculous job considering he's just one man with a bunch of very ill people in there. He needs a chance, and we need a chance. This camp has only been up 2 weeks, around 2 weeks. And although we have problems, I've seen this camp change. The men and women here are coming from unsafe conditions to stable. This alone takes time to handle. All of us have different histories of why we are here, none of which you should take lightly. Broken homes, drug addictions, mental illness, domestic violence, domestic terrorism, bullying, etc. The list goes on and on. We, me and my friends here, are broken people, but we are not. We are humans in search of who we are and why we are here. I will not be kicked under the bus or taken lightly. We are not obsolete. Our lives are important. We have the right to be loved and given a hand up. You made an agreement with this man. That means you also made that agreement with us as well. Although St. Vincent de Paul can invest tax-free donations towards our camp, neither Jackson nor any of the folks here voted in this agreement. Our constitutional rights, civil rights violations. A man's word is a binding contract. It is legal and binding. You made an agreement with both parties, and you have to make that decision, and including Jackson in that decision that you made as far as St. Benny's. That's the only fair way to do it. You didn't allow Jackson in on it until after you guys flipped. And to me, that's bad form. Give this camp a chance. You need to give us time to work through the bumps. I'm in a position of ongoing trauma. I cannot be locked behind a fence and told what to do every night. I have to have escape routes, and right now, this is very important for me to have this ability where I can rest and take care of myself until I get stable emotionally, and that I know that my environment and the people around me are safe to be around. I can't tell you that I don't collapse for the enemy, and the enemy's after me really bad. So these people all deserve a place to live. Give us a chance. Thank you.
Please, no applause, please. It just slows down. It slows down procedures, and it also is not part of the rules of our meetings. If you're so, Michael Dudley, followed by Mickey Beatty.
My name is Michael Dudley. I am a retired cardiovascular invasive specialist who worked at Sacred Heart for 24 years serving this community. I am now homeless and have been for a while. I have heard that there is a contract now between the city or county with St. Vincent's for managing the camp across the street from St. Vinny's Eugene Junction. This would be an error in my opinion. Although I've used their services and feel grateful to them, on the outside, it looks good. On the inside, it's not so good. The management does not have the heart of the homeless forefront, and this is reflected by the attitude of their employees and by their rules. The attitude of the employees are that you wait in line while they do their texting, or their conversations, and you're standing there and standing there and standing, ignoring one. It is also in the rules. I've had my clothes thrown away because I did not make it. I missed the bus and did not make it back by 4:30. That is a rule. You throw all their clothes away. You do that to a homeless person. So that's why I do not think they would be good management, because their heart is not really with the homeless. The community across the street, Eugene Junction, and Jackson's leadership, I found a place I felt safe. It was scary out there. And I found people that were working together. And this is because the leadership there has the heart of the homeless up front. Thank you.
So Mickey Beatty, followed by Patricia Haley.
My name's Mickey Beatty. I've lived on Highway 99 for a few years now. I think St. Vinny's is a bad choice all the way around. I've been trying to get St. Vinny's for the last 4 years to help the homeless, put in a place for them. There was a trailer park on that that's right up from where his camp is. I cleaned it up myself. I spent 8 hours a day for 8 days cleaning that camp up myself, this park. The whole thing was that St. Vinny's would go in there, put in huts, give these guys some place to live where we could contain the waste and contain the garbage. They've done nothing. And that place still sits there today. And Jackson, I think, is a blessing, you know, and I got a lot of respect for him, and I just think he needs to do the right thing and get these people in some place. Thank you.
Thank you. So Patricia Haley, followed by Eric Jackson.
Hello. My name is Pat Hadley. I am 73 years old, and I'm a graduate of the University of Oregon Master's Degree Program in Public Administration. The difference between St. Vincent de Paul's process of the working with the homeless, over at the camp currently, the camp across the street currently, we're spending all the time we have to come up with a one-stop shopping place where the homeless can come and not only take care of where they're going to sleep tonight, but what programs are available to get them to walk all the way out of the system. The campers are working on it. Everybody's working on it. St. Vincent de Paul has no such program. St. Vincent de Paul, it seems to me, wants more beds. They didn't even suggest what was going to happen when they first talked about the Dusk to Dawn program. What do we do from dawn to dusk? Well, over at our camp, that's what we're doing. You know, what you can do. Being homeless is a full-time job. I live at that camp. You have to go to one office and they'll talk to you, and then they tell you to go to another office. All day long you're on the bus and you're walking or whatever, and if you don't have a bus pass, it's a horror. With Eric, it's totally different. It feels like our community, not that we want to stay there forever, but that we have a voice in what's happening and we're paying attention to our neighbor. Things happen, you know, somebody falls down and there's 10 people there. And talking about the things that can be done, women who have come out of abusive situations that we've helped get strong and get out of that situation. That's what this camp is not like a homeless place where people just crash. You know, people are making the best of what is a really hard time. And while there may be, you know, one or two people doing drugs, I don't do drugs, we don't do drugs. And there's a high percentage of seniors who are coming into this homeless situation. And there are services that are available to seniors, which are some of the things that Eric and I have been working on. We hope to get a one-stop shop office somewhere and be able to, you're homeless, go over here, they can help you, and you'll get some sense of safety and your future, what you can do, you're not lost. I question St. Vincent de Paul, I understand, asked for the Dusk to Dawn program before it even thought about what people are going to do from dawn to dusk. The answer I got when I asked them was, oh, they can hang out at the service station. No. And now they want this piece that's successful. And I just don't think they should have it. I think that the people who are over there now are doing a really good job, and there's hope there. I'd suggest you use it as an example for what these kinds of camps can possibly be. And that's all. I'm kind of tired. Thank you very much. Hi, Pete.
Thank you.
And Pat.
Yeah. Eric Jackson, followed by Alex. I can't quite get Alex's last name, but Eric?
Lex.
Okay.
He's sleeping. Commissioners, good morning. As of yesterday at approximately 7-ish p.m., I was informed that St. Vinny's had earlier in the day signed a contract with the county and the city to take over the Eugene Junction camp that you guys diligently and effortlessly put in tens of thousands of dollars in overtime to get it done over the weekend and have it set up so that I could leave the butterfly lot with trucks and buses and service people and shrubs and coming into the property, fences going up on the property, gravel going down on the property, and told on camera by your county people representing you that this is all you, Jackson. To me, that's a contract, and I'm going to take it to court. I'm going to be filing an injunction for breach of contract for stopping the St. Vinny's contract that you guys already have a contract with me. Why did you give me the contract? I have no idea. But you did. Pat's been out there. Pat's taking pictures. Pat's taking pictures because he sees what it is, how the city came aboard and got former Chief Kearns another $500,000 to have new employees at St. Vinny's come and do what they have not been able to do for years. Don't know how many because I've only been here 8 months. But in my book on page 75, the most dangerous phrase in the language is we've always done it this way. I imagine the second book on homelessness that I was headed to Portland to write is going to be much more interesting when instead of the ACLU lawsuit in the back chapter, for the illegal, unconstitutional park restrictions in Denver that were done to my friends, that could have been me. I think it'll be a chapter, probably a book on Eugene, Oregon's homeless cycle of money through government to charities that are Catholic-based and violating the Ninth Circuit Court decision in every way, shape, and form. If you think for a second that St. Vinny's is going to ask these people how their day was, you're mistaken. If you think for 1 second that St. Vinny's is going to give a crap what their goal is, you're mistaken. If you think for 1 minute that St. Vinny's is going to have any difference than what the first gentleman said to you in my team, of they stood behind the counter finishing and sharing lunch plates while I stood there with another person to get signed into the business. And I stood there, and I stood there, and I stood there, and I stood there. And then Russell looked at me, and I looked at him, and I said, it's funny because the employees of my pizza place of 20 years in Voorhees, New Jersey, would have already been fired because they didn't even make eye contact with the client. The client is the customer. The customer is us. We are the customer, and we are running the camp across the street. I have this under control. I told Mayor Venice that I could do 200 to 300 if you open the eWeb property. Why? Because that's how many people I can personally get to know their needs, know their desires, know their shortcomings, know their fears, know their anxieties, know their buttons to push to get them to not have anxiety, know where to set them up with their neighbors, who they have, who they don't have. And the only way that that's going to happen is if you guys have the ability to clone me into St. Vinny's, and that I don't think works. So good luck with your St. Vinny's thing, and good luck with your legal fees and press for the injunction that I'll be filing. Thank you.
So Alex, Benatas, I think it's Benatas, but I'm not sure. And then followed by.
Hi there, my name is Alex. It is Donatos. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. I'm here today to just talk about, you know what I mean, the spot out there that we've been granted, and let you guys know that kind of started off as something that could have been promising for that area. Thank you. From day one, there was things that were supposed to be, being worked on, such as bus passes, bus passes, hose for the place, electricity for the place, and each and every time that we had seen a city or a county worker, those things were just being worked on, And, after about a week and 2 days now, the only thing that we've gotten, is 10 people's worth of bus passes one way, And, y'all can do better than that, honestly. You know what I mean? We need to start coming up with education and, you know what I mean, education and understanding between the housed and the unhoused, and come together, because it's just, you know what I mean, it's like a magnet. We want to go this way, one way this way, and say what we say, and they want to do the same on the other side, and it's just never going to change if we can continue that process. So another thing I'd like to say is that, you know, I do think that the spot should be located, centrally located in the downtown area down here. You know what I mean? That's where all the resources are down here. You have white church, brick church, red church, diner. You know what I mean? You know, be nice to see some electricity outlets downtown, benches for families and pedestrians to sit down. You know what I mean? Trash cans to throw your trash away in. So, thank you guys. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you. I believe it's Angelina. Again, please no applause. That just causes problems for the meeting. So Angelina H. followed by Jonathan L.
I'm going to piggyback off of most of these people that already spoke. St. Vincent de Paul is a completely disgusting place to be. The showers are unhealthy, unhuman to mankind, trash being left behind. And not only that, we're able to sleep, make a difference, and help out as a family out here on the streets. We're out there on Highway 99. No house, just living in tents. City has promised us power, kitchens, bus passes. Where's that to be?
Thank you, Angelina. Again, please. And silent applause is also considered applause, just so you know.
My name's John Littleton, Jackson's Camp. We need a chance, and like a lot of us, we need more stability. And if St. Vinny takes over, everything's going to go downhill. Jackson's Camp is a place where we can relax without getting harassed by the police. Like, everybody has always gotten harassed, sleeping elsewhere. We need justice. Let us speak. We are people that have lives too. St. Vinny's is not up to date on anything. There's showers, food, coffee, nothing. And they're too controlling and trying to run our lives. There are a lot of people that are, we just need a better shelter for everybody. We need peace. We need to stop being harassed by the police. Stop telling us where we can and cannot sleep. We're people who have lives. We need justice. Thank you.
Thank you. Jerry Guest, I think it is, followed by Haley. I can't quite catch the last name.
Hello, instead of like I'm texting, could you please pay attention to what we're saying? I see you guys going over here texting. You know, we're people that need to be heard. Now, I invite you. You said that you wanted to get, you stand against anti-Semitism. What I say now is that homeless people and the socioeconomic status is the new discrimination. What I think is that, okay. Anyways, it's a new discrimination, and what St. Vincent de Paul is what they're trying to do is they're trying to backdoor, and what they want is the funding, and they're afraid that we're taking away their funding, and they're trying to do everything they can to stop us. And you guys like make deals with these guys in the middle of the night without telling anybody, and it seems like to me that St. Vincent de Paul has been like failing the homeless community for many, many years. And what they're doing is the same old thing. And I tell you right now that I was part of the homeless protest right over here, and you put St. Vincent de Paul back over there, we're going to be camped right next to your doorstep again. We're not going away this time. You know, we're not going to be bending by your rules, and until we are heard and we are looked as people. You know, a lot of us got thrown underneath the bus because the 2008 crisis, which was caused by the rich people. You know, I had nothing to do with that. You know, and they're trying to they got away with everything, and then we're being thrown underneath the bus, and it seems like the way that the community talks about homeless people nowadays. There's people that I've worked with for 10 years, and they told me that 95% of my friends are trash. I mean, I hear security, I hear police use the same kind of words, that we're like garbage, that we don't matter. And you know what happened? I hear the same kind of language what happened in like the 1935 and 1940s in Germany. I heard the same kind of language, how we're being talked to, like in South Africa, even in our own country with the Jim Crow laws. We are treated differently. We are underneath the scrutiny, and we are harassed by police. We are harassed by business owners. And you know, these business owners, most of these guys get a big old fat tax break or pay hardly any taxes, and they're supposed to be creating jobs. They're not creating jobs. What they're doing is they're like piling up their pockets, just like St. Vincent de Paul. And I tell you what, I will be looking into the books. If St. Vincent de Paul is like going over and going to take us over, I will be looking into the books. And I'm pretty good at math. I am college educated, and I will definitely bring my own lawsuits. Yeah, I'm telling you right now that by putting St. Vincent de Paul over us, you're going to be put with the same pile of shit that you guys were trying to get us out there in the first place. As a matter of fact, I'd rather not be all the way out there anyways, because it's way the hell out there. It's in a crappy neighborhood where you guys wanted to put us in the first place. You know, but I'm more than happy to come back over here into the town, and camp right in front of the doorstep of let's say the U.S. Bank or, you know, wherever. But I'm not capitulating this time. Thank you.
Thanks, Jerry. Haley, looks like card.
My neighborhood crappy.
Yeah. Haley, followed by Isaac Jacobs.
Hi, my name is Alexander Reitz. I'll be speaking on Haley's behalf. My real question is that you've pretty much reneged on your contract with Mr. Jackson over here. How is it that you intend to keep St. Vincent de Paul from actually having monopoly on this very situation? That in and of itself constitutes a federal crime. So, in all the money you happen to be losing over the last 15 years, throwing it in St. Vincent de Paul's face, most of that just goes to their salaries, their rents. They very literally just find excuses to suck up the money, and you guys allow it on a daily basis. Are you incompetent or are you in cahoots? Because quite honestly, they're stealing. I can do math. I'm really good at it, in fact. They're stealing. Now, whether or not you decide how you did this, and I am appreciative of the 10-day furlough over there, by the way, not getting harassed by cops and being able to kind of situate and help my fellows get established and try to set up a camp of their own. But moving in St. Vincent de Paul pretty much means the same people who've been stealing for the last 15 years, every cent that comes down the pipe to help the homeless, pretty much get the money again. You know, that book, Catch-22 earlier, I don't think she read that, because that World War II comparison in there was entirely unfavorable and talking about World War II. So if you want to go with that book, I guess many of you remind me of a Lieutenant Scheisskopf. Now you see, yeah, you know what, read the book. You'll find out. You'll have a fine day.
So Isaac Jacobs.
Hello, I'm Isaac Jacobs. We all know that the backdoor deal was crooked and wrong, but the camp's right. I got sober over at the butterfly lot, putting my time into the camp, and so had several others. And since we've been at the new camp, I've seen people get employed, get clean, build a community, make friends. I've seen people filling out job applications left and right, go to meetings. It's quiet, it's safe, and I think it's time to start looking at the yeah, we won't let you take it. Thank you.
Thank you, Isaac. So I've got Ally followed by Mark.
I'm not very good at public speaking. However, I live at the camp with Jackson, and it's running really great. But if you do let the St. Vinny's, it's not going to be the best camp ever. You're putting a whole bunch of people through the St. Vinny's, treating us like you used to treat the other people back in the day. And what are you guys going to start running another concentration camp and throw us under the bus just because we smell or we don't have showers right in front of us? Or even a house? It's not as easy for us to do everything on a daily basis as it is for you to sit there and twiddle your thumbs and look at us stern like we don't matter. Jackson here, he's doing all that he can, and we are supporting him as we are a family. And I think you guys fail to forget what a family is all about. You all think that a family is sitting here and thinking about what's best for somebody, but you can't sit there and think what's best for yourself at the same time as the community. Now, St. Vinny's, yes, my friend Angelina, well, my sister Angelina, pointed out some good views about how horrible and how trashed St. Vinny's is up at Highway 99. Now, what you're forgetting is there's many people who have had food poisoning from St. Vinny's. People are saying they're stealing, which is probably one of the most things that is happening through the community, is that you guys are getting robbed from. But to help our community more better is to give us the freedom that we do deserve and stop being treated like animals. Thank you.
Thank you, Ally. Mark, followed by Lori Heber.
Hi, yes, my name is Mark. I live at Jackson's camp, and it's running perfectly without St. Vincent de Paul's. We all have skills and trades that you guys look past. Me, back in New York, I went to trade school and I took carpentry, electrician, and landscaping. I have a friend that's at the camp staying with us. His name's Mike. He is a landscaper for a couple years, and you guys just keep looking past us like we're nothing. And say, like everybody's been saying about St. Vincent de Paul's, their showers are horrible, gross, and it looks like it has black mold growing all over the walls. Their food is gross. Yes, they do have some good food every once now and then, but if like it seems like you guys don't want to see like what we can do for society, because we can do a lot. We used to be a member of society until what happened.
Sorry, that wasn't your time.
But if you guys won't let us show you guys our strengths and what we can do, like by putting St. Vincent's in charge, it's not gonna, I don't think it's gonna work. But thank you. God bless you guys.
Thank you. So Lori Heber? Oh, okay, sorry, I missed that. Yeah, and I also had Patricia Hadley on here twice, so that's, everybody gets 3 minutes. We have a lot of business to get done. That is everybody I had signed up to speak. Is there anyone that did not speak? No. Okay, if you'll come up and state your name for the record, and then I'll give you your 3 minutes.
Gentlemen, my name is William. Here about 2 weeks ago, I got to meet Eric. He is an absolute fantastic man, and he stands for a lot that I feel this country should stand for. Courage is the first quality of any warrior. Faith, hope, commitment, or others. I don't stand here for myself. I don't speak for myself. I speak for everybody in existence. Your children, our children, the community, our world, things we do today and now dictate their future. Some of us have fallen on short times trying to get our lives together, don't have a safe place to sleep, don't have very much things at all. We the people say no to concentration camps, disease, abuse, terrorism, and discrimination. We choose death before dishonor. I ask you now, where have ours and your home, this planet, really have gone? Convicts, felons, everybody here, we are all the same. We would rather serve our family, our country, and our core, the United States military, whatever, for free, than to have these corporates and our dictators throw our names and us as human beings in the dirt like you would throw meat to rabid dogs. Thank you.
Shelby Foster. I agree with a lot of my campmates. You know, we're trying to change the world, trying to change our lives, and stand before you to speak when a lot of us don't have that courage or that lives to change the world. Hopefully this will change your guys' mind. I am, and me and my fiance, William, are trying to fight DHS getting our kid. A lot of the housing don't accept felons. A lot of us are at that camp have felons. A lot of us have clean records. How are you going to expect to have us up and leave and change? Not everything. Thank you.
Thank you. So, one more? Okay. You'll state your name for the record.
Sure. Thank you. My name is Lee DeVoe. First, I just want to thank everybody who came out and for their courage and persistence and great heart in coming and speaking before you. I saw an article in the Guard today about the proposed, ordinance to put a curfew on the butterfly lot and the lands around it. And I'm a bit confused about how you consider the Boise ruling, because if that's public property, then it seems to me that people who don't have other shelter have a right to sleep on public property. So that is a contradiction, and I just would like to know how you're going to address that. Thank you.
Thank you. So if there's no one else that wishes to address the board, if you'll state your name for the record.
Hi, my name is Zondi Zinke. I also want to thank everyone for coming out and speaking up. I can say that though I am housed, I feel harassed every night and every day by the treatment I see of anyone who looks impoverished, who likely is impoverished, or who has markers of counterculturalism. Just when I was coming here, as I parked my car a block away in front of, granted not your land, but the empty city hall lot, there were 5 armed police officers surrounding one man while he packed up his belongings. When I asked him if they had asked him to leave, he said yes at first. I asked them if they did, they would not answer. When I went back and asked what they said to him, he said, you know what? When I think about it, they didn't actually use the words, you have to leave. They said, you know what? Our chief doesn't really want people around here, so it would help if you want to move along. So he said, they didn't ask me. They didn't make me. They just made me feel like I had to. I also agree that self-management needs to be allowed. When I hear the whole system, when I hear the people here talking about St. Vinny's stealing the money, yes, everything, Measure 102, everything goes to support a system that isn't actually empowering to the people. It actually takes and takes and takes from the people. And this idea of a curfew would be so detrimental to the one thing that can't be taken away, which is the right to demonstrate, right? And if you pass a curfew, that would just undermine that further. I am so harassed, despite not being directly harassed myself, by seeing humans harassed as they are.
So if there's any further people that wish to address the board that didn't get a chance, you already spoke. If you haven't spoken and you still want to address the board, if not, we'll move on to the commissioner's response to public comment and other remonstrance. Oh, and I apologize. We're going to have to delay that till after our time certain. I wasn't paying attention to the clock. I was so focused on what people were saying. We have a 10 o'clock time certain. There are people that have shown up for this item, so we'll move to that 10 o'clock time certain. Thank you, Commissioner Lycan. Which is item 7D, Order 1811-0607, in the matter of authorizing the county administrator to sign agreements with the City of Springfield and Umpqua Dairy Products, Rush Creek Holdings, LLC, to approve a 3-year enterprise zone property tax exemption and to extend the enterprise zone property tax exemption an additional 2 years for a total of 5 years for an investment at a new facility in Springfield, Oregon. And we have Sarah Means, our Community and Economic Development Manager. Sarah.
Good morning, Chair, Commissioners. Thanks for having us today, and thanks for acknowledging the time certain 10 o'clock. We do have guests with us today. I'd like to introduce Courtney Griesel, the Economic Development Director for City of Springfield, and Brian Bigler, who is the Regional Manager for Umpqua Dairy Products. So I'm going to give you a high-level overview. You've got quite a bit of information in your packet related to the project, but I wanted to give you a quick overview. I'll then turn it over to Courtney, who can talk a little bit about the decision that was made by the Springfield City Council last night, and then, of course, want to invite Brian to speak as well on behalf of Umpqua Dairy. So this item that you have before you today is actually the culmination of a number of years of work and effort to retain Umpqua Dairy in our community. They currently have a site out near the airport, and they had looked at a number of different locations within the region, wanting to remain committed to the region and stay in the region for their distribution site here in Lane County, and ultimately landed in Springfield, which we're very pleased about, mid-Springfield, around 30th and Main. And have purchased, I believe, the property from Highland Construction, or at least in the, and are now requesting a 5-year abatement, enterprise zone abatement, because they are looking to invest $1.8 million into the site to build a new cold storage and distribution center. I believe it'll be about 6,500 square feet in all. As I mentioned, this is in mid-Springfield, around 30th and Main, and when they do build out, they currently have 19 full-time equivalent employees here in Lane County, and they will be increasing that to 21. And I will say that the wages that Umpqua Dairy pays are above the 150% of the average annual salary here in Lane County. That figure is $62,285, so their wages are above that. So they do meet all of the criteria as presented by statute for the enterprise zone and for the Springfield Community Enterprise Zone, which the board is a co-sponsor of. So I think with that, I'll turn it over to Courtney to talk a little bit about what happened last night at the Springfield City Council, who did hear this matter last night, and then we'll hear from Brian.
Thank you for your time. We're excited to be here. We're excited for the project, kind of hearkening back to the years we've worked with you all on it. We actually expanded our enterprise zone at one point down around Goshen to try and accommodate this potential project, but also future projects. It was a great decision either way, even though we didn't necessarily use it at that time for Umpqua. So we're kind of excited to make full circle around back to it. In Springfield, last night's council meeting was one with a lot of excitement. The location that they've chosen, mid-Springfield, is one with quite a lot of jobs, quite a lot of manufacturers, and sometimes struggling to find identity. And so some excitement around a company who brings a local quality brand to our community was expressed by counselors, that their presence and hardworking ethic and quality product could help really get that neighborhood in a energized place as we move forward with growth in that region. So thank you for the time. We're here and excited to answer any questions about the project. And I want to give time to Brian here to really talk about the company, since they're the guest of honor, if you will.
All right. Well, thank you very much. If you don't know a lot about Umpqua Dairy, we're a third-generation company. We've been in business since 1931, and we're based out of Roseburg. But we've had a presence in Lane County since the late 1970s, running delivery trucks up here. And then in 1999, we established a distribution depot here, and we've been here since. So we're not going anywhere. We're only growing. We've grown. I've been with the company 12 and a half years, and we've grown every year that I've been here. You know, kind of a fun fact that we did some research on is we don't own our own cows. We're a processor, so we buy from family dairies around the state. 31% of all of the raw milk that we purchase comes out of Lane County. And so it comes out of the dairies, it's shipped down to Roseburg, we process it, and then it's distributed throughout the state. So I thought that was kind of a fun fact. And, you know, as Courtney said, we've got 19 employees, and our goal is 21, but we will exceed 21. Currently we run 12 routes out of Eugene, out of our current depot, and that we're ready to grow. We're so limited on space right now. So we're anxious to get things going and proceed and move on. Thank you very much for your time.
So happy to take questions of commissioners.
Commissioner Farr.
Thank you. Umpqua. I love it. You know, I'm from Tillamook, a bit of a competitor, but not really. You know, we process our most local product, and we distribute it locally. And, you know, our dairy, I mean, I've worked on dairies, you know, those men and women get up every single day, 365 or 366 days a year, and produce a local product which you process and distribute locally. It's one of the finest things that we can do. I should say, you know, I'm from Tillamook, where there are actually more cattle than people in Tillamook County. It's a proud tradition, a proud product, but I'm highly disappointed in, particularly in you, Ms. Brooks. Because as we were setting the agenda last week, you ascertained that we would have samples this morning.
This is the first time I've ever been told that.
We both have failed this, because I failed last night. It wasn't their fault. They were willing to do it.
Okay. Well, we know where to get it. But seriously, we think about our local products that are produced locally, and there is nothing akin to dairy products. You know, we make them a few hundred yards from where we're sitting, in fact, and they're distributed more locally than any other thing. You know, and I'm proud that Umpqua has chosen Lane County as its home and as its place of business, with their roots in Roseburg, of course, in Douglas County. But it's all very, very local. I'm pleased that you're before us today, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Commissioner Lycan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Hey, Brian, how you doing?
Doing well, thank you.
Good. So, frankly, I've been kind of waiting for this day for a little while, and part of it is because I have such personal history with the Felcap family growing up in Douglas County. And Doug and Steve, and of course, Jimmy. So I actually knew these guys from elementary school.
I think I was Colonel Felcap.
Yeah, Commander. And but Bob, and I remember Bob great. What an incredible person. So he was second generation, and he passed away from cancer many years ago, but incredible person. But I must tell you that Umpqua is really an iconic brand in the state, homegrown. I think that's the part that's really wonderful about Umpqua Dairy, is that they started here, they're a homegrown company. They continue to develop right here, not just so obviously in Douglas County and Lane County, but yet their brand stretches all across this country. And so it's really pretty incredible to see what's going on. So I'm really pleased to see we worked very hard to try to get a Goshen. It unfortunately didn't work out, but I'm very pleased it's in Springfield, which is, of course, where I live. And so I'm glad to see this happening. But also just when Sarah, you announced the wages, I think that's really critical to hear. $62,000 a year is really an excellent wage here in Lane County, and to help provide for family. And so I want to say thank you on that as well. But I really want to say that it's great to see us working with our homegrown companies to land them here. And I look forward to Umpqua not only expanding here, but to continue to expand throughout in different parts of the state. So, and thank you for really working directly with, again, homegrown dairies. And in fact, there's a wonderful, there's two, I have two little things of ice cream in my freezer right now, Umpqua Dairy, and Duck Tracks, of course, is one of them. Can't help that. But anyway, so thank you, and I'm glad, really pleased you're making this investment here in Lane County and continue to expand and again, expand a locally owned, founded company right here in our area. So thank you for doing that, and good to see you again, Brian.
Thank you.
Commissioner Sorensen.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate the information on the Springfield City Council and what county staff's been doing on this. I'm just curious, what actually they make the ice, they make the milk in, a third of the milk in Lane County and 2/3 of the milk elsewhere, and they take it all to Roseburg and make it into milk products. Do they make milk products in Springfield, or do you guys make milk products in Springfield, or do you just ship finished products to Springfield?
Correct. It'll just be a distribution facility.
Okay. And then what are the jobs that people do that are associated with this distribution? Are they truck drivers,
primarily
loading, well, I guess there's not much unloading. Well,
there is.
There's probably unloading of what, like milk bottles or?
Well, we have a transport driver that his job is to go drive to Roseburg two times per night and bring back a 53-foot trailer full of finished product that then is taken off that trailer and loaded onto all of our other smaller delivery trucks.
Okay, so it's unloading the big trucks from the factory to the distribution site, which you call a depot.
Correct.
Very good. And how many people then work at the current facility?
19.
19. And you're going to expand that?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And so the kinds of jobs are driving the trucks down to Roseburg and back, unloading the trucks, loading up the other trucks, getting the administration of where those trucks go. Is there selling involved too? Like,
yes.
Like going to stores and?
Yes, there's 3 people, including myself, that are in sales.
Okay. And
then there's a couple of managers, which I'm one of those as well.
Okay.
And then there's office staff.
Yeah. Okay. Good. And so I'm very involved with the workforce, Lane Workforce Partnership. What kind of relationship, if any, do you have to like LCC or training of workers or recruiting of workers or things like that?
We've actually worked through Lane Workforce.
Mm-hmm.
A woman, she's retired now. Her name is Lynn. She worked. We've hired several drivers through them. We actually had a driver that went through the program, and he was just a merchandiser for us, and he went through a truck driving program and is now a driver, and actually just got promoted to a salesman just the first of this month.
Yeah.
And that all started through Lane Workforce.
Mm-hmm. Good, good. Well, I'm just really, like the rest of the commissioners, really happy to be involved in helping a small local business. And I think it's really great that there's opportunities for advancement, connections with people that might not all already think of this as a career, but through maybe Lane Workforce or your own recruiting for, because if you're expanding in a tight job market, getting more help finding these people is really important. So.
And the company, as part of the requirement, and also voluntarily, though, will enter into a 5-year contracted agreement with our local employment department to also beef up that ability to hire locally.
Okay, good.
First source hiring agreements are part of every enterprise zone application requirement of every enterprise zone application. So they will indeed sign one of those.
Okay, great. And then one last thing. A lot of times we hear the amount of money that a worker receives, but more and more it's the health insurance and it's the retirement and other benefits that are not really part of the hourly pay. So I'm just curious if you could go over some of the attributes of those jobs.
Well, I don't have the numbers right in front of me to have that all broke down. But the drivers, the salary that they quoted is including health insurance, health and welfare, as well as a 401k program, and as well as life insurance and all the other things that they do provide. But the drivers make a very good wage. It's over $21 an hour. That is then that is above and beyond that, the rest of the money.
Okay. I think for some of our positions at Lane County government, the actual cost of the benefits is greater than the hourly pay that the person actually gets. So the cost to employers of these benefits is really quite high relative to the wage. And a lot of people, when they hear how much someone is being paid, it's not quite clear, does that include the cost of the benefits, or does that not include the cost of the benefits? So, okay, well, thank you, and thanks for all your good work in trying to expand this facility in Springfield.
Thank you.
Commissioner Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, I'm supportive of this. 31% of your products, Lane County. Love that. About a month or so ago, I had an opportunity to visit a working dairy in Cresswell. And I was reminded of how dedicated those folks are. They have no days off. The cows need to be milked.
It still comes every day, doesn't it?
Yeah, and so I'm thinking not only your finished product, but I'm thinking about the product on the farm that's being produced.
Correct.
And the incredible labor and dedication on behalf, what dairy farmers do is, frankly, I couldn't do that. And I'm a guy I was in contracting for nearly 40 years, so I know what hard work is. I don't think I could keep up with dairy farmers. They're incredibly hardworking, dedicated folks. I love the fact that Umpqua is siting here, expanding. It's a wonderful opportunity. You have great products too. I have a real fondness towards your ice cream.
Thank you.
So, with that, thank you.
Thank you.
Just one quick item before you go, Jay. I just want to mention that, my father was general manager of Tillamook Farmers Co-op up in Tillamook. I got to say that the dairies aren't the only work that take place in the processing and distribution. The Farmers Co-op employed no less than 40 employees, all receiving direct benefits and pay based upon the dairy industry and the processing that you're a part of. So it's far more than just milking cows. It's far more than just making ice cream and milk products. It really goes far deeper than that. I used to fit and sell the rubber boots that the people wore at the cheese factory, for instance. So
that's right.
So I just want to say thank you for your investment in our community.
Thank you.
And I'm pleased I'll be supporting this action to extend the full 5 years of the enterprise zone benefits to you. Umpqua Dairy, it is a corporation, isn't it?
Correct.
Yeah. I just, another corporation that is investing in our community, paying people at 1.5 times our average wage or better with benefits. Those people being paid are going to be paying the new transit tax, which I'm on a committee right now considering what LTD is going to do with that new revenue. One of the things they are proposing to do is to expand their bus pass program. So I appreciate the fact that Umpqua Dairy is actually going to be employing more people that are going to ultimately support the free bus passes that we'll be able to distribute. So just, another corporation doing good in our community. So I really appreciate that. And, I just can't say enough about how difficult it is to be part of that.
Yeah. Thank you.
So with that, is there any further comment or questions? If not, I will entertain a motion. Commissioner Lyken.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this time I'd like to move to approve Order 1811-0607, the matter of authorizing the county administrator to sign agreements with the City of Springfield and Umpqua Dairy Products Company, Rush Creek Holdings LLC, to approve a 3-year enterprise zone tax exemption and to extend the enterprise zone property tax exemption an additional 2 years for a total of 5 years for an investment at a new facility in Springfield, Oregon.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Likens, seconded by Commissioner Farr to approve Order 1811-0607. Discussion to the motion. Commissioner Lyken.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I find it interesting because the enterprise zone, really want to say thank you to Bill Dwyer when he was in the legislature back in 1987. He's the one that really was involved in writing the original enterprise zone, has been a strong supporter from all these years. The other is, while I was mayor, we actually granted an enterprise zone to a company. They had to be incorporated, had 3 employees. 3 employees, they qualified, they received a 3-year enterprise zone. It's not just multinational large corporations. If you qualify based on what's written, you can receive a tax exemption for 3 years. And a company with 3 employees received that, but they of course had to be incorporated. And that's because that's the way the law was written. And I just wanted to make note of that because the enterprise zone has been a really useful tool. And again, not to just major, huge corporations. Umpqua Dairy is a company that was founded in Roseburg, Oregon by 2 individuals in 1930, 31, something like that. And here we are today. It's pretty incredible. Homegrown. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Further discussion of the motion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thanks, Brian. Good seeing you.
Yep. Thanks. So we'll jump back in our agenda to Commissioners' response to public comments and or other issues in remonstrance. And I want to kind of caution Commissioners maybe about discussing legal actions in remonstrance. I believe we've been notified of possible legal action through public comment today. Just so be cognizant of that in your remonstrance. So any remonstrance from Commissioners or response to public comment? Commissioner Sorensen.
I just wanted to make note of the fact that today is the election day, and voters in Oregon have been told, I think, many times that we have a vote-by-mail system, and that is partially accurate, but it's also partially inaccurate because the part of the system that is the mail system is that the government, Lane County in our area, mails you your ballot if you have a place to receive ballots and if you are registered to vote. You then have the choice of mailing it back, but it must be received by 8 p.m. on Election Day. So as a practical matter, our vote-by-mail system ended about a week ago. And so now, today, if you want to vote today, you have to take your ballot to a drop-off location. Now, there are 19 drop-off locations throughout Lane County, and they're pretty easily accessible. And so it is very easy to vote in Oregon. There are no long lines to vote in Oregon. You can vote at your house, you can vote at your work, you can vote on the bus on the way to the drop-off. You can vote in lots of different ways. And as a result, we have one of the highest voter participation rates in the United States, the state of Oregon. And so I think it's really been a great thing. I think it was 2 weeks ago we celebrated the 20th anniversary of use of the vote by mail system. And I hope that the rest of the country will see that by lowering the costs of election administration, by increasing the security, and by making it easier for people to vote, that you'll get more participation, and you'll get people that have previously not been able to vote or not been willing to vote under the circumstances. This way, they're able to do that. So I just want to encourage people to vote. I'm actually not one of those people that say if you don't vote, you don't have a right to complain. I actually don't believe that. I think that free speech is bigger than voting myself. But I do think it's important that people realize that many decisions are made. I was at a rally yesterday, and I won't say what the candidate's name was, but the candidate said that they won their very first election to the Oregon House of Representatives by a margin of 7 votes. 7 votes out of the thousands that were involved in that election. And so I do know that every vote does count, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak on behalf of Oregon's vote-by-mail system.
Commissioner Lycan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I just wanted to say thank you to you for reading that statement at the beginning of the meeting. It meant a lot to me personally. I'm named after my grandfather, Sid Lycan, who was born here in the United States. He comes from a Ukrainian Jewish family. And so I really appreciate that statement. He was born here, but his family actually left Ukraine during the early 1900s because of the Russian Revolution that was beginning to happen. And because of being from a Jewish family, they were likely going to be arrested, persecuted, and likely killed. And so they escaped, came here to the United States. And it also leads me to also just also announce, I don't know if any of you heard, but Margaret Thummel's mother, Anna Rossi von Riekirch, she passed away. And her story is she was actually in a concentration camp in Austria. And of course escaped, came here to the United States, and their family's done very, very well here in the United States. But her celebration of life will be this weekend. I just wanted folks to know that. She was an incredible lady. And I don't know if you've still had her strong Austrian accent, which I loved. It just was so fun, but such an incredible family. And Margaret, as many of us know Margaret here personally, with just her activism, and especially with our Lane County Sheriff's Department. She's actually been involved with Lane County Sheriff's Department and a big supporter for a long time. But it just led me to say thank you to Chair Bozovich for making that statement at the very beginning. And it did mean a lot. I was off the grid most of the time last week, but yet that was one piece of news that I heard. And it was pretty heartbreaking to hear that. So thank you, Chair, for reading that statement.
Thank you. Further remonstrance or response to public comment? Commissioner Farr.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Commissioner Sorensen, might have been Jeff Barker. I served with Jeff Barker. He won by about 7 votes. Was that who it was? No, don't tell me. You know, Mr. Mokrajski, I spent a lot of time in the last few weeks trying to do the right thing in terms of finding people a safe place to sleep. And we'll continue to do that. We had a meeting yesterday that I heard some pretty interesting and sage words from one of the members of the meeting, one of the people who joined the meeting. And you and I were in that meeting, Mr. Mokrajski. Others were there, including Lieutenant Mazon, including Wayne Martin, who testified today, including Laurie Halber, who testified today, and others. But one thing that really I have to hold dear, Mr. Mokrajski, and deep in my heart, I have a desire to serve people who are in poverty, who are suffering from homelessness. It goes far deeper than this last few weeks. It goes far deeper than the last few years. But the words that I heard yesterday is that we're not serving one homeless person, and we're not serving one small group of homeless people, but the actions that we take are for the entire spectrum of homeless people. As I take copious notes, including quotes, and there was a quote this morning by, might have been by Angelina, who said that we come to homelessness through many, many different states, for many different reasons. We're not trash left behind. All of this is a part of what needs to be our complete makeup. We can't identify why people are homeless, but the fact is we have to do the things that take care sustainably from this moment forward to the entire spectrum of homeless people, to the entire spectrum of people who are suffering from poverty, whether it be through substance use, through behavioral health disorders, through bad times at work, or through other circumstances, the myriad circumstances that bring people into homelessness. We have to be cognizant and aware of taking care of people at every single level. And we cannot fall by the wayside in trying to serve a particular population and trying to serve one small set of ideals, because we are working with the entire spectrum of homeless people. This morning, I spent a little bit of time out at 99 Camp, out on Highway 99, right across the street, baking biscuits of all things. You know, I was baking biscuits this morning, and Dave Piccioni this morning said that there were 200 people being served on Highway 99, and I saw a few heads shaking throughout the audience. It was what that number was they are serving an estimated 200 people with breakfast at St. Vincent de Paul this morning. They'll also serve about that same number with lunch at St. Vincent de Paul this morning, and with dinner at St. Vincent de Paul this afternoon. They'll do it tomorrow. They'll do it the day after, and the day after, and the day after, and the day after. That is what they do out there. And they do it through the staff that I was working with this morning are people who are probably working for not a great deal higher than probably not approaching the median wage of Lane County, not people who are lining their pockets with riches at anybody's expense, people who are really serving people because that is what they wish to do. You know, and this morning, biscuits and gravy, you know, it's one meal. Tomorrow it's going to be another meal. The next day it's going to be another meal. Most days, people are able to get 3 hot meals from St. Vincent de Paul at that location. I'll also mention that when I was with Food for Lane County, St. Vincent de Paul was the agency that was the #1 distributor of the food for Food for Lane County. I think St. Vincent de Paul distributes about 3 million pounds of food annually in Lane County. 3 million pounds of food annually in Lane County through Food for Lane County. So, you know, it kind of is a bit distressing for me to hear people say bad things about St. Vincent de Paul, because they are really out there taking care of people at the very base level and trying to do it across the spectrum. And as to the guy who said my neighborhood is bad, oh my gosh, that really kind of irritates me. I live in Bethel. I've lived in Bethel for nearly 40 years. I don't have a crappy neighborhood. Bethel is not a crappy neighborhood. So, Mr. Mokrahysky will continue to work and will continue to address the needs of the broad spectrum of people living in poverty and homelessness. And we do it through the Poverty and Homelessness Board, through our Human Services Commission, and through the many great nonprofits who go far beyond any expectation to serve the people who need to be served in Lane County. Bethel's not a bad neighborhood.
Thank you. So last Wednesday, I had the opportunity to attend Looking Glass Services annual meeting. And, you know, it's always great to hear from Craig Opperman and the folks there about the great work they're doing for youth in our community. And they're one of those nonprofits that provides services to the homeless youth in this community. While there, I ran into Captain Camcar from EPD, and he pulled me aside to talk to me about Mr. Mokrahysky. He said, I was out there Saturday, Steve was out there at 7 in the morning on Highway 99, and stayed out there till about 9 that night. And I saw Steve, and in fact, I took photos of it. This is Captain Camcar, moving porta pots, helping people set up tents, and doing other work there, and setting an example for the entire, as he put it, chain of command, you know, because he's kind of got that police sort of knowledge. I would have said staff, but for the entire staff at Lane County of treating these folks with respect and service, you know, demonstrating service. And I just want to say thank you to Steve. That's not part of his contractor duties. You know, I don't see anywhere that we expect him to move porta pots in our contract with Mr. Mokrahysky. Yet he was out there on Saturday moving porta pots around. You know, that's an incredible example for the entire organization. I just want to take a moment to appreciate that, and the fact that it was noticed. And I think that even, you know, helped, you know, even get City of Eugene staff involved, and just that demonstration of leadership was just spectacular. So I really appreciate that. And I just, you know, I appreciate Commissioner Farr's discussion about how we're trying to address the entire spectrum of homelessness. And we have the TAC report that we finally took a look at our entire system, mapped our system out. We you know, hadn't done that in the past. And then started looking at modeling of what pieces of the system are missing and what pieces need to be improved. So that, you know, one of the things is HUD doesn't think that camp on 99 is housing. That's considered unhoused still under HUD's definition. And our point is to get to 0 unhoused. So we really hopefully can get the indoor shelters done, get the permanent supportive housing we have in the pipeline completed, and work towards that goal of 0 unhoused. Like the TAC modeling says, if we can get the 350 beds permanent supportive housing added to our system and the 75-bed low barrier shelter put in place, their modeling shows we can eventually get to 0. It's not going to happen tomorrow, so we are going to need things like the facility out on Highway 99, the junction. I don't know what terminology to use, but we'll need those as temporary stopgap measures. But I do believe that through our frequent user system engagement program, which was a pilot we ran here that has become a national model and is now being invested in by our coordinated care organization, Trillium, because they saw the benefit in getting people into low barrier housing with intensive case management and the way that changed people's lives. We're working on our facility on Martin Luther King Boulevard with our partners at Homes for Good, you know, to get another low barrier facility put in, another 50 beds. We've been cooperating and working with the Veterans Legacy folks to set up a facility specifically tailored to veterans and dealing with the issues that veterans have. You know, we've got other housing that's going to be coming online, so we're working hard to address these issues. Eventually, we may get there, but it takes resources, it takes time, and we're doing, you know, believe me, there's a lot of folks here that are dedicated to working on those issues for the unhoused. We do understand you are people, you know, and you know, the addiction gene runs strong in my family. I've got a brother that's in 10 years of recovery right now. My dad was a functional alcoholic. But for the grace of God, there go I. You know, it would be easy for me to be there. I almost got there in college at one point, so I understand. You know, you are people just, you know, we had somebody that used to work for Peace Health Hospital Systems here. We had somebody with a master's degree speak to us today. That's not, you know, throwaway people in our society. We need to help you all become, you know, well, healed, and back into our society, because we need to treat you as people. So I believe that's really a high value of Lane County and a high value of what we attempt to do through our Human Services Commission, through our Poverty and Homelessness Board, through our Public Safety Coordinating Council, and the work we're doing to house people coming out of the criminal justice system and provide good transitions for them. So, there are multiple places we're working on these issues and trying to prevent homelessness, to provide permanent transitions back into housing. So I hope folks appreciate that. I really appreciate the comments of everybody coming in today. And with that, if there's no further comments from the board.
I forgot one thing. Ms. Mokrajewski and Mr. Chair, last Friday I was here in the same hall for treatment court graduation. Judge Alyssa Ruck-Lay completed a cycle of treatment court, and 8 people graduated from the treatment court, which is a program that is put forward by our circuit courts here in Lane County to allow people to go through a treatment program instead of serving time in jail or on probation. So we had 8 graduates whose charges were dropped completely following the graduation from treatment court this last Friday. It's quite a ceremony, because for 8 graduates, there's a room full of, how many people are seated in here? 135, 140 people, something like that. Mr. Rickoff, you were there. It was a room full of people cheering the high accomplishment of the folks who spent, some of them, over a year going through the program. So, wanted to call out Judge Ruck-Lay on that one.
Yeah, I believe is retiring. So
from the court, this is her last graduation.
Her last treatment court. Yeah, another fantastic program that we've implemented here in Lane County, and through some partnership with the state in funding that, and through our Public Safety Coordinating Council. Mr. Mokrajewski.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple of brief comments that I wanted to share with the board in response to some of the public comment that we had this morning, and to share now that we provided a report to 3 of the commissioners that were available at the meeting last week. Now that we have all 5 commissioners, I just wanted a brief recap that a little over a week ago we identified a location and set up about a 1/4 acre of county-owned land off of Highway 99, and worked with the campers that were down here in the Butterfly Lot in cooperation to move individuals to a more safe, secure, sanitary location. We very intentionally have 10 porta potties, hand washing stations, trash receptacles, and more set up there. We've had our environmental health officials tour that and make some additional recommendations about additional areas for needed improvements, including hand washing stations or antibacterial solution to be available within the fenced area away from the porta potties. And I wanted to just address that certainly the city and the county continue to be committed to work together in partnership to end homelessness in our community. While these are temporary, shorter-term, immediate solutions that we felt certainly a need to address concerns that were identified, health and safety concerns that were identified at the Butterfly Lot, and improve that situation. We also recognize the need for an experienced partner to organize and ensure the continued safety and health of the campers at this campsite. The City of Eugene and Lane County do not run campsites like this, and so we are working with St. Vinny's in partnership with the campers, and certainly Mr. Jackson, while not a surrogate, has been a terrific ally and advocate in working through these issues, and will continue to be an ally and advocate and partner in those efforts to be successful at making sure that individuals are safe and secure. But the service, part of the reason that we identified the location for that camp is because of its connection to services. The fact that the Lindholm Center is right across the street and provides daily meals, has showers, has laundry services, charging stations, and other services available. The agreement with St. Vinny's will provide expanded service at the Lindholm Center to be available 7 days a week and additional hours, so that individuals will have greater access to those services, including the opportunity for some day center drop-in services. So we're really looking at this moving to a service-connected program that we're providing emergency basic needs assistance, rapid rehousing, connections to services, and other resources that exist in our community. That's really what Commissioner Farr talked about, the broader community's solution to homelessness that we are focused on, while also keeping an eye on the need for a permanent low barrier public shelter. It's something that we continue to pursue conversations and plans with the City of Eugene and other partners in the community. So I just wanted to provide that context for the board, and we look forward to moving forward in a positive and productive and collaborative manner with all of those involved. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mokhaisky. There's no further remonstrance from the commissioners. We'll move on in the agenda. Is there any emergency business today?
No.
That gets us to our consent calendar, and these are items that are considered routine by the Board of Commissioners and will be enacted in one motion in the form listed. There will be no separate discussion of these items. If discussion was desired, they would have been pulled from the consent calendar during our adjustments to agenda. And if you want to see the details on this, you can go to our agenda online and just click on the View Material button for each different item, and you can get the full background. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar? Commissioner Lyken.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move approval of the November 6th, 2018 consent calendar.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Lyken, seconded by Commissioner Williams to approve the consent calendar. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. That gets us to item 6A, which is County Council announcements. Mr. Dingle.
Chair Bozovich and members of the board, I just have one brief announcement. Keena Langhorn has left Lane County. She, has been operating as our workers' compensation administrator for the last couple of years. She's moved on to other things, so I just wanted to let the board know that that program is in transition. We're currently moving to find someone else to fill that position. That's really the only announcement that I have.
So if there are no other announcements, we'll move on to item 6B, which is the first reading and setting the second reading and public hearing for ordinance 1810 in the matter of amending Lane Code Chapter 6 to bring the rules governing public property in the downtown Eugene area into alignment and declaring an emergency. So, Mr. Dingle.
I think the board packet is pretty straightforward. This actually came to light. It sort of dovetails a little bit with what Mr. Mokhaisky said. Over the last couple of weeks, we've been working very closely with the City of Eugene, and one of those issues that we've been working closely with is the coordination between the Sheriff's Office, the Eugene Police Department, and whatnot for enforcement duties in and around county property that's downtown. And one of the things that was pointed out, which was unknown to me, and it didn't even come up as part of the potential property trade with them, was that the county property in this downtown area adjacent to the public service building and the butterfly lot, that the only place that didn't have a curfew was our property, which I think it was just an oversight. But at any rate, this is intended to make this consistent so that it is easier for EPD to do enforcement actions, because they don't have to wonder if they're on one side of the street or the other. It's written so that it covers the butterfly lot and the county property that is contiguous to it, and the same thing for the PSB, which would be this parcel and the areas that are around it. It should be noted, this obviously doesn't include the public right-of-way, so I know there's been some confusion about that. This doesn't mean that you can't use the sidewalk. And that's really all I have, unless you have a specific question.
Commissioner Sorensen.
Did we get any correspondence, or did you, from civil liberties groups regarding the closure of Lane County property that would be subject to this ordinance?
I did not.
Sometimes in the past, we've received letters saying, don't do this because it'll violate people's rights. Okay, and then could you describe the difference between this ordinance and the one that's in place regarding the free speech plaza?
There really isn't a difference, it's just a different location. But that's a good point to make, which is this is the same restriction that the board voted, I can't remember how many, 3 years ago? I don't remember exactly when it was. But the Free Speech Plaza is closed from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. as well.
Okay. So public access to the butterfly lot is still within that same time period that it's people are excluded from it under this proposed ordinance, 11 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Right.
Or 7 a.m.
6 a.m.
6 a.m. So people are excluded from that public property during those hours, but that lawful activity between 6 a.m. and 11 p.m. is allowed under this ordinance.
Yes, the only thing, yes, I like that clarification, Commissioner Sorensen, lawful activity, that's correct.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Farr.
Thanks. I have a couple of questions, Mr. Dingle, and I may have a couple more, but across the street, there's a fountain block, and then the other block, those are city property, right?
Correct.
Part of the, kind of the public square that's down here.
Yes.
And those two, how long have those been under curfew? Do you have any idea?
I don't know how long they've been under curfew, but I just, I know that when I spoke with the city attorney, Ms. Brotherton, she's the one who pointed this out to me, the difference that literally across the street, in either direction from our property, there was a curfew from that period of time, and ours did not have it.
Okay.
So I don't know when it was, passed.
And so and once again, the fountain, the large fountain that's over there, that's a part of the downtown square, that's under curfew and has been. Can you tell me, are there any other properties, any other public properties throughout the city other than this four demi-block area that do have curfews around them?
I don't know of other, I don't know. The answer is I don't know one way or another, I guess is what I'm saying. I just know that this is really the only property that we have that's in this area. So
this is our Delta campus, which is where our public works is housed. There's no curfew there, but the gates are locked at night. So
well, that's
essentially.
Yeah, there's no curfew, but practically speaking, yes, there's a fence around the entire property that's closed. So the only people who have access are the people who have cards.
I'm trying to gather all of this in my mind a little bit. So the University of Oregon has property like Orson Stadium, for instance, that doesn't have a curfew because they have late games, but it gets locked when people are excluded from that property. Okay, so
that's the typical response, or that's the typical way that a de facto curfew is enforced by public.
Gates and locks.
Yes, exactly, a limited access.
I may have a little bit more on that. Thank you.
Mr. Langton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, again, after being out of country last week and coming this week and seeing a couple emails, I just wanted to clarify, because I'm looking at it, but I'm just going to clarify and just asking for your answer. So we're not making any sort of decision today, is that correct?
Oh, no, this is an ordinance, so this follows the ordinary procedure. This is the first reading. By our charter, 13 days have to pass, and because of the way that because I think of the AOC conference, that's next week, right? So next week is a down week, so we're not, I think that this is coming back on the 27th. So there's no action, the board, all this is a first reading and move to a second reading on the 27th.
And it also includes a public hearing.
Yes.
That's correct. So I just, because it was interesting reading some things this morning suggesting that we're making decisions today, and I just wanted to clarify, we're not making any sort of decision today. It's just based on what the law states is that we have to read this in, and this is something that's been brought before the board, and we may or may not make a decision on the 27th. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you very much.
So I just, I was going to bring up about that same point. So for folks that don't know, the reason we have a first reading and a second reading is it's required by our charter, but it stems back to the days when you used to have to post laws in the public square for folks to read, and you had to give them a certain minimum amount of time to read it so they'd have opportunity to digest it and then come in for a public hearing on whatever the change in county. This is a change in county code. That's why it's an ordinance. So there'll be that opportunity. So what we're doing today is approving that posting of the ordinance. The actual decision to approve it won't happen until we have the public hearing and then possible deliberation and action. And even then, it doesn't mean we'll take action. We could choose to amend and have another reading. We could choose to continue the public hearing. I've been present, at Board of Commissioners meetings where we were on the 20th reading of an ordinance. So there's no guarantee that there'll be action even on the 27th. Today is just merely that activity that notifies the public of a possible change in our laws and then notifies the public of when the public hearing will be so they can come and address us about that change and advocate one way or the other or for changes, amendments, and so this is the beginning of the public process. Commissioner Sorensen.
I was going to mention the word reading actually predates the posting idea because the idea is to actually read all this stuff to you, and we don't usually read stuff during a reading. The word reading means that somebody has read it, and it used to mean that the government would read it to the people. But that word is used also in the legislature when we have a reading of a bill or something. So anyway, it gives public notice, and in our case, the charter requires the minimum 13-day notice. So we're going to give 14 days notice as of today.
Actually, we're giving more than that because of the Thanksgiving holiday and all.
Oh, even beyond
21 days.
Yeah. Okay. So we're giving basically a 3-week notice. That exceeds our required minimum 13-day notice, and the public can come in to the public hearing if they want, and either watch or testify or both, and then we'll decide whether or not we want to approve that reading or approve another proposed reading, which we'll call the third reading or fourth reading or fifth reading. I think our record around here is about 27, so 27 readings. So
in the modern day, huh?
Doesn't happen very often.
Yep. So with that, any further discussion? Then I would entertain a motion. Commissioner Lyken.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'd like to move the first reading and setting the second reading of public hearing on Ordinance 1810 for November 27th, 2018, and this is in the matter of amending Lane Code Chapter 6 to bring the rules of governing public property in the downtown Eugene area into alignment and declaring an emergency.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the first reading and setting the second reading and public hearing for Ordinance 1810. Discussion to the motion. Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously.
And Chair, I would want to remind the board that we do have 3 executive session items scheduled today.
Yeah. So if we can hustle up, right?
Or, Mr. Chair, an option for you is if you'd like to push the remaining items to this afternoon, we could do that and go into exec session.
Yeah. Can we handle the public hearing that was scheduled this morning, item 7C, and then maybe we'll move the others? Sure. So let's go ahead and handle item 7C because that was an announced public hearing that was publicized for this morning. So let's move to item 7C, which is the third reading and public hearing ordinance 1809 in the matter of amending Chapter 8 of Lane Code to extend the term and franchise agreement with Comcast of Oregon to for the operation of a cable communications system to June 30th, 2020, amending ordinance 1207. And is Christine available? Did I pull the trigger too fast for her on that one? So
Hi, Christine.
Hi, Christine. Sorry about that. So Christine Moody, our budget and finance manager.
Did you hear me running?
Do you need a moment?
Yeah. All right. Good morning. Thank you, Chair Bozovich, Commissioners. So as you mentioned, this is the third public hearing, and there have been no changes since the last public hearing. So this is extending time for us to finish negotiations with Comcast on our franchise agreement.
So with that, I will open the public hearing. Is there anyone signed up to speak? Is there anyone that wishes to address the board about the Comcast agreement? Seeing and hearing none, I will close the public hearing and I will entertain discussion and or a motion. Would you like to make a motion? To approve ordinance 1809.
Mr. Chair, so at this time, I'd like to move that we approve ordinance 1809 in the matter of amending Chapter 8 of Lane Code to extend the term and franchise agreement with Comcast Oregon 2 for operation of a cable communication system to June 30th, 2020, amending ordinance 1207.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Likett, seconded by Commissioner Williams. Discussion of the motion. Commissioner Farr.
Thank you, and I mentioned this when we first, at the last reading of this that we'd have a cable commission, and we don't meet very frequently. Commissioner Likett and I are members of the Cable Commission, and it's kind of a subset of the Metropolitan Policy Commission. I'd like to say hello to Mr. Tim Goodman, who's in the audience today, representing Comcast. Good to see you again today, Tim. And I say this quite often. You know, Comcast provides cable. Other providers provide television and services through means other than cable. Thereby, Comcast is subject to certain restrictions that other providers don't have. I always talk about the unlevel playing field potentially that provides, and Ms. Moody, you explained to me in very patient terms quite frequently that it's a very different kind of service, and that wire-based services are regulated federally very differently to ether-based services. So I appreciate that explanation. But I'll never fail to bring it up that Comcast is not without competition.
Thank you. Further discussion of the motion? Seeing and hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Christine. So with that, we'll bump item 7A and B to the afternoon and item 8 and Commissioner's business to the afternoon, including item 8A, and move to item 9, which is our executive session. So the Board of County Commissioners will meet in executive session to conduct deliberations with persons designated by the governing body to negotiate real property transactions and to consult with legal counsel concerning the legal rights and duties of a public body with regard to litigation likely to be filed. This executive session is held pursuant to ORS 192-6602E and H, which allows the Board of Commissioners to meet in executive session for the purposes listed. Representatives of the news media and designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive session. All other members of the audience are asked to leave the room. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report on any of the deliberations during the executive session, except to state the general subject of the session as previously announced. No decision may be made in executive session. We will be coming back out into public session at 1:30 here in Harris Hall. At the strike of the gavel, I am going to recess us into executive session up in the Board of Commissioners conference room.